All right, so today we're in section 11.1, translations. In this chapter, you're going to learn 4 different kinds of transformations. So transformations, we're going to learn the actual definition in just a minute. But within transformations, there are 4 different kinds that we will learn. Today, we're focusing on translations. But really, to understand anything about this chapter, okay, whether it's translations or some of the other transformations, you have to understand how a coordinate plane works. All right, so hopefully this is review for you. If it's a little rusty, hopefully it'll just kind of come back to your memory pretty quick. All right, so we need to understand ordered pairs and how they work. So an ordered pair template, and I want you to write this in your notes, is X, Y. X, Y. So the first number in the ordered pair is my X value. All right, so my X value is the horizontal axis. All right, it's left and right. That's my X axis. My Y axis is my vertical axis. My vertical axis. So when I'm determining an ordered pair that matches a point, I'm looking for how many units, left or right, up or down, it takes to get to that point. So let's look at point A.
-10.
Okay, so point A, I have to go left 2 spaces, and I have to go up 2 spaces. So I would write that ordered pair, -2, up 2. -2, up 2. All right, go ahead and try B. What is the ordered pair that represents point B? All right, just write it down. All right, what is it, guys?
2, -3.
All right, 2 and -3. 2 and -3. So now we're going to kind of reverse roles here. And now I'm going to give you an ordered pair, and I want you to plot it on the coordinate plane. So remember, this is just kind of a refresher because what you're going to be asked to do in today's lesson, you have to know how to plot points. Okay? So if I'm plotting -3 up 4, I already said up, but if it's -3, would I go left 3 or right 3?
Left.
I would go left 3, and then I would go where? Up 4. So left 3, up 4, and then I label it point C. Left 3, up 4. All right, go ahead and do point D, 4, 5. Go ahead and do point D. Daniel? Sure. Okay, so point D, where did you go? So left or right? Right, 4, and then where?
Up.
Up 5. Is that where you guys put point D? Okay, so any questions on coordinate plane and how it works? All right, so let's talk about some of our terms. So like I said, the entire chapter is about transformations. So what is a transformation? Well, it changes a figure into another figure. The new figure is called an image. So there's different ways that we can transform figures on the coordinate plane. The first way that we're going to learn today is a translation. So there's some key characteristics about translations that make it unique from the other types of transformations. The first one is that it slides, but it does not turn. So translations slide. Has anybody ever rearranged? Okay, but it doesn't turn. So has anybody ever rearranged the furniture in your bedroom? Okay, so you kind of maybe slide that dresser or you slide your bed to make sure it's centered in your room. So sliding an object but not turning it, that's a translation. So it's not going to change size. So that's what it means when it says every point moves in the same distance in the same direction. So the figure, the shape, is not going to change size because all the points are moving the exact same. All right? Okay, so that's a translation. So let's look at some of these figures. And yes, you do have some of these on your homework tonight as well, where all you have to do is determine whether or not it's a translation. So you go by that criteria. Well, does the figure turn? Do these figures turn between the gray one and the green one? Do they turn? Do they change size? No. So yes, it's a translation. Okay? And that's all you'll have to do on your homework also. All right, what about this next set of figures? Is this a translation? No, why? Okay, so just tell me that. All right, it turns. Okay, so if you're asked to explain your answer, you would just say the figure turns, and translations don't turn. What about the next set of figures? No, why? Okay, changes size. All right, it changes size. Okay, any questions there? Pretty easy, not too bad. All right, so determining whether or not it's a translation. Now we're actually going to translate a figure on our own. Okay, so we see this triangle ABC on the graph. All right, I'm going to show you two different methods that achieve the exact same answer. Okay, so you can either use a graph or you can use ordered pairs. It just depends on what the problem gives you. If the problem gives you a graph, then you would look at how the translation is described. So where is it moving? What does it say? 3 units right and 3 units down. Does everybody see that? So what you're going to do with each point, okay, you don't have to write like these little hash marks, but I'm just going to write it on here to show you. So let's look at point B. I need to move point B 3 units right and 3 units down. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 units right, 1, 2, 3 units down. And I'm going to plot that point. Okay? And I'm going to label it point B prime. B prime. That little apostrophe tells me that it's the image. All right? The image is the new location. All right, so if you did those dotted lines, go ahead and erase those because we don't want those in our answer. Okay, so now we're going to do the exact same thing for point C and point A. We have to move them all the same distance, the same direction. All right, so here we go for point C. 1, 2, 3 units right, 1, 2, 3 units down. And I plot point C. And I label it C prime. Okay, and now we're going to do the exact same thing for point A. Is everybody kind of catching on to this pattern here? Okay, so 1, 2, 3 units right, 1, 2, 3 units down. So the translation, this 3 units right and 3 units down, that could be anything. I could have told you 2 units left and 4 units up. Okay, so the directions are going to change. So now this is point A prime. All right, now we are going to connect the points with a dotted line. So I want you to do a dotted line connecting your 3 points together. All right, does that look like the same shape as the original shape? Yeah, it is. Obviously, it's not perfect, but it is. So I didn't change the shape. I didn't change the size. I didn't turn it. I can see that because I can see all of the labels of the points. It didn't turn. I just translated it. All right, make sense? Okay, so what if I was given ordered pairs? All right, so let's take the ordered pairs, and this is actually, well, I'll tell you that in a second. I want you to take each ordered pair from points A, B, and C. Okay, so what is the ordered pair that represents point A? I want you to write it in the blank next to A. Next to A. All right, so Dylan, what ordered pair represents point A?
-2.
Yes, -2, 1. All right, what about point B? What ordered pair represents point B? What do you guys think? Haley? What? Yes, very good. 2, 5. So, Hudson, we're just writing down the ordered pairs for the original figure. So B was at 2, 5. And now we're going to do C. So what is the ordered pair for C? It's going to be 1, 2. Okay? So what if I didn't have a graph? So we're going to pretend that the graph is not there at all. Okay? So let me just write 1, 2. So if the graph isn't there, oops, and all I have are the instructions up here to translate the red triangle 3 units right and 3 units down. I want you to think about the XY axis. I'm just going to draw you a quick sketch down here real quick. Okay? If I'm moving to the right on the X axis, do you think that would represent addition? So think about how the numbers progress on a number line. Would that be addition, positive, moving to the right, or do you think that would be negative to move to the right? That's positive, all right? So if the figure is moving to the right, that means that I need to add that value to the original X value. If it tells me to move the point to the left, what do you think that's going to mean? To subtract. So what do you think if I told you to move that point down? Do you think that would be add or subtract to go down? That would be to subtract. And if I told you to move that point up, that would mean to add. Okay? So here's what we're going to do to the ordered pairs. Now, eventually, and probably pretty quickly, you'll be doing this mental math. But for now, I want you to show the work so you can understand why we're adding and subtracting. So in this middle blank, we're going to write what we are doing to the X values if we're adding or subtracting. So we're going to take -2. That's my original X value. Everybody agree that's my original X value? And it says to move it 3 units right. So if I'm moving it 3 units right, do you think that means to add 3 or subtract 3?
Add 3.
To add 3. So that's why we're adding 3 to -2. Okay, so plus 3. Now let's do our Y value. So we do a comma in between our X and Y. Our original Y value is 1. But my instructions say to move that point 3 units down. So if I'm going down, do you think you're going to subtract 3 from 1 or add 3? Subtract 3. Okay, so we're going to say 1 minus 3. All right, now we're going to do that math. So what is -2 plus 3? 1. And what is 1 minus 3? -2. So my A prime, again, if I didn't have a graph, I can do the addition and subtraction based on if it says to go right, left, up, or down. Okay, so let's look at point B. Now we're going to do the exact same thing to point B and point C. Because remember, with a translation, we have to do the same thing to all the points. All right, so here we go. You might be getting a little ahead of me, and that's okay. So for my X value, for point B, what do? Do I add or subtract? I add 3. Because again, it says 3 units right. I have to do the same thing to all the points. And what do I do to my Y value? Subtract 3. All right, so 2 plus 3 is 5, and 5 minus 3 is 2. All right, go ahead and do point C, and raise your hand when you have the answer. Okay, so guys did a good job on that. All right, so we said 1 plus 3 and 2 minus 3. And we got 4 and -1. Okay, what I want you to notice about this, guys, look at this. You did the same operation to all your X values. Do you see that? You took all of your X values and you added 3. How did you know to add 3? Because it said 3 units right. So look at all your Y values. What did you do to all of your Y values? You subtracted 3. Why? Because it said to move that Y point down 3 units. Okay? So 2 methods. Now look at this. Look back at your graph. What is the ordered pair for point B? Just look at your graph and read it. What is it? 5, 2. Look at B over here. 5, 2. Okay? What is your ordered pair for A? 1, negative 2. Look at point A over here. 1, negative 2. And then point C? 4, negative 1. And what do we see here? 4, negative 1. So it doesn't matter if you graph it or you use your ordered pairs, you get the same image. Okay? It just depends on the information the problem gives you. If it gives you ordered pairs, it's a waste of time to try to do a graph. Just do the addition and subtraction. All right? I'm going to go over one more thing, and then we're going to jump to big ideas, okay, for a few minutes for some practice. So to describe a translation, now you have the point and the image. You have 2 problems on your homework tonight like this. You have the point and the image. You have to decide how many units your x value moved to get from a 5 to a 2, and if that's moving left or right. Okay, so think about a number line. So you have an x value of 5, and then it goes to an x value of 2. Which way on the number line would it have to go? Left. So it would go left how many units? This is not in your notes. Okay, so just write it in the blank space at the bottom of your notes. Okay, so you would go left 3 units. And now let's look at your y values. To go from a 2, so think of a 2 on the y-axis, to a 6. Would you go up or down on the y-axis to go from a 2 to a 6? 2 to a 6. You would go up how many units? 4. All right, so up 4 units. Okay, go ahead and try this next one. All right, from a negative 5 to a negative 2. Anybody want to raise your hand and tell me what you think? If I'm going from negative 5 to negative 2, would I go left or right, and how many? Destiny? Yes, ma'am. All right, right. 3 units. And anybody want to do the y?
Down.
Y is up and down. So what would it be, Abby? Down 3 units. Okay, so you have to remember with your y values, that's up and down. So you go down 3 units on your y-axis. All right, any questions? Any questions about this? All right, there's actually one more thing. This is going to help you on one of your homework questions. So let me just switch over here. How would you describe this translation? If I said x minus 2 and y plus 4. How would you describe this translation? It's just written a little different, but remember which direction the subtraction means. So if I said x minus 2, which way are you going? Left. You're going left 2 units. And if I said y plus 4, you're going up 4 units. Okay, it's just a different way of writing it. And you have one problem on your homework tonight that's written like this. Okay, so just know if it's a minus sign, that means left. If it's a plus sign on y, it means up. Or if it's a minus sign with y, it means down. Okay, all right, so that's everything you need to know for today's lesson.